in this show. Everything.
Yeah, but I'm sure you've tried it before.
I haven't tried I haven't tried. There was a lot of things here. I'm like 70% I didn't try. Because I did my one-woman show in New York City, and then I came to LA, and I self-sabotage a lot, and I left everything for last minute. And then I it's like I had, where I'm like, what the and I'm saying all these awful things to me, like, you want to be a comedian and you don't fucking write? Now you're going to bomb on your hour, and that's your fucking fault. And I was until 1 a.m. writing, and it was the best set I had in my life.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, first of all, I feel like you can't force creativity. I mean, you can force yourself to have like a discipline. So like you could say, all right, for every day I'm going to just sit down for half an hour and think about ideas, and maybe something good will come up, maybe not. But if you say every day I'm going to write 2 new minutes, you can't. There's no way you can do that.
And by forcing me, if I sit down, it makes it harder for me. Makes it harder.
Yeah, all my comedy comes from like ideas that just happen in life, and I'm like, I like write down a note, like, all right, I got to work that out into a bit.
Yeah,
like I can't like just sit down cold and come up with a premise and then write a joke about it.
Me neither.
It's like something that happens, or like I say something in real life, like, oh, that's funny. I could probably turn that into something, and I write a little notepad on my phone, a little reminder.
Yeah.
But sometimes like that thing when you're like put on the spot, kind of like when you're back into a corner, I feel like a lot of times for me it makes it gets better for me, 'cause it makes me real sharp, or it makes me be in the moment, like the anxiety of failure.
Yeah.
Helps me sort of rise to the occasion, and just that vibe in me, that sort of nervous energy. Especially if you like cop it with the crowd, like, we'll see how this goes, kind of thing. Like, we're in this together. It sort of helps make it, you're more present. So even if the jokes aren't like finished good, because you're present and you're telling it in that voice where it's even still funny to you because you just thought of it.
Yeah.
It's like a live moment you get with the crowd. It's like you kind of catch lightning in a bottle sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happened. I even thought, are they just laughing because I have a funny accent and I'm cute? And then I made a bad joke on purpose, and they didn't laugh. So I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's one thing about comedy that I love. All of that shit doesn't matter. I've watched. So I went to Dave Chappelle's like summer.
Sorry, I also farted. It smells really bad.
Sorry, it doesn't smell worse than Mike. I can say he's not in the room. We can trash him. He's got sciatica.
You give me this? Is empty, by the way.
Well, yeah, that was my second one here. You want the fresh one?
No, I don't want it. Is it mint?
Yeah,
it's the same. No, it's okay. Thank you. Yeah. I don't like
it.
No,
so what I was saying about just like being in the moment, and how sometimes that like helps in terms of the set. You were saying like oh, you thought they were laughing because you have an accent or because you're cute, or all that shit. In comedy, after a couple minutes, all that fades away.
Yeah.
So like I said, I went to Dave Chappelle's summer thing during the pandemic at his place in Ohio. And I won't name names of the people who were at the show, but there were 3 comics in particular who are like mega A-listers. And they bombed so fucking hard. Like, usually I'm okay. Some comics get weird about watching another comic bomb, and usually I'm okay. But it was so uncomfortable watching them bomb, because it seems like they haven't been used to that because they were uber famous, and they ate it fucking fat. Like I ate it my first year. Like, I was like, oh fuck, like, and that's how you know like comedy's a real meritocracy. Like, for the first 90 seconds, people were like oh, that's so and so, you know. And then when they started eating shit, the fucking crowd turned on them. So it doesn't matter how cute you are. If you can't deliver after 2 minutes, like that, you have like a halo effect. If you're famous or attractive, or they're all your friends in the crowd, that lasts 60 to 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe 120 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. After that, if you don't have the goods, the fucking crowd will turn on you, like, quick. That's what I love about comedy. Like, it's always in the moment, on the stage, at that time.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how good you did last set or how good you do the next set.
Yeah.
Right there is the only thing that matters.
Yeah. I had the best set of my life. I don't know how the fuck that happened. Have you ever heard about the Creative Muse?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe in that shit until I started doing creative stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like the best jokes I've written, I feel like I didn't write them. I just pulled them out of the ether.
You're just a vessel. You're just a vessel. Yeah.
They gave it to me instead of everyone else.
Yes, that's what happened on the show.
I can't believe, how did no one else write this? Like, sometimes I'm like, how the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what happened on the show, where I was kind of like, it's like I was seeing myself from out. And I'm like, how do I remember all these things? And because I'm witty, but I'm not witty like that. That was fucking crazy.
Yeah. And it distorts time. It's like you'll do an hour and it feels like 15 minutes. What the fuck was that?
I put the timer on the phone, and I swear to God, I even verbalized. I'm like, let me just see how much time am I doing? Because it's been 20 minutes? It was 48 minutes, and my time was over in 50. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, that's what like athletes call that, like being in the zone. When, you know, like when Michael Jordan scores 60 points or something like that. Like he's just like he doesn't even know why everything drops. Like it's just sort of you're sort of like one with the moment. Like it's sort of happening beyond you, like you said. Like you're almost watching yourself perform.
Yeah.
Like in those, like I've had a few sets like that where like in the middle of the act, I'm like, how is this going so well? They're laughing even in my setups.
Yes.
But I'm thinking that, and I'm thinking ahead of other jokes.
Yeah.
But still talking.
Yeah.
It's like I can't multitask like that in any other time. I can't think about something else and talk. But if you're in the zone, it's like you're not even trying. It's almost like
crazy.
you have control of yourself performing, and then you have outside of yourself, you're thinking about the next thing.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's that's the big drug. Like when you have one of those nights, like holy shit, you chase that for the rest of my life.
It's so magical.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you remember like the first real like belly laugh you got out of a crowd.
Yes.
It's like, fuck. Like I said, I've had sex with beautiful women. I've done a ton of drugs, done a lot of parties. Nothing.
Compares to
nothing.
that.
Yeah, it's like,
yeah, I agree.
And trying to explain to somebody else, like, how do you explain coming to an ant? You're like, there's no, people are like, what's comedy like? It's like, well, it's hard to explain. You have to do it. And that's why I tell,
It's so funny because like my parents, they didn't understand what I was doing. And they're always like that where I'm trying to explain them. And my dad was a little bit more understanding, but I always like try to talk about why I feel the need to continue to do this. Like I feel like I can't quit.
Well, it's not a choice. Like,
exactly.
For certain people, it's not like if you're gonna anyone who does.
Let me finish.
Yeah, sorry, I hate to cut you off.
You fuck up my.
Well, I'm just agreeing vehemently already. I'm already like I'm not choosing this. I'm like, yes.
Did you do some cocaine before you came in here?
No, I feel like somebody saw me. The fact that you were like, I didn't choose to do this. It's what I have.
Yes. It's exactly
That's exactly what it's not a choice.
It's not a choice, yeah. And you feel crazy because you wish you didn't had that feeling. I don't know what it is. Is it feeling in your chest? Is it? I don't know what it is. Where like I tried to work for a corporate for a while because I just thought I need something that I can trust in, and it's always has money coming. And I felt like somebody fucking threw me in the river, and I was wasting my time. It was so difficult. And yeah, I tried to explain to my dad died in August, but before, thank you, before. He died. Like I tried to have a conversation with him about this, and he was very understandable.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My mom is harder. But then they see comedians on TV and they're like, this comedian says that he keeps a notebook next to his bed so he can write jokes when he wakes up. And I'm like, okay, I told you that before. You've seen me doing that. But like my parents, when it's me doing it, they're like, la 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 la. If it's somebody else, they're like, wow, really? And it's so exhausting.
Yeah, well, the thing with parents is, especially, with foreign-born parents.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, they're worried about your well-being.
Yeah.
They're going to be 100% behind it when you, quote-unquote, make it. But until then, they're worried that you're, like, not going to be able to, fend for yourself. They're just concerned. I tell my buddy Chase, who was a refugee from East Africa. His family came over here, they literally got, like, bail, sort of, on, like, a fucking refugee, like Sally Struthers. Remember those like kids with the flies in their face? He like adopted one of those things.
Yeah.
And his parents worry about it. But I'm like, Chase, your parents didn't come here from Eritrea in 1992 as a refugee for you not to live the American dream.
Exactly.
And they're just worried that you're not going to, be able to fend for yourself. But once you make it, they're going to be like, oh, I was behind you all along. Like they're just worried, about making sure you're safe and cared for.
I think in my particular case, it's kind of different because they are not here. My mom is not here.
That's especially why. That's another big reason why. They're not here to sort of help you out if something goes wrong.
To help me,
Their concern supersedes their belief in you. It's not they don't believe in you. It's that they're just, as a parent, I feel like you're worried more about a child's safety than anything else.
My dad, so I went to see him in a hospice, and this has to do with what we were talking about. And he said to me, if I could go back in time, I would have tried harder for you to be like a doctor or something, because with the head you have, with how your brain works, I don't know where you got these genes from. And I think that's his way of saying, I think you're pretty smart,
Yeah. But also I think in that he's not blaming you.
No, of course not.
He's wishing, which I feel like any parent, no matter how well they raise their kids, he's just wishing he could have done more.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not a statement on you. It's a statement on him saying, I wish I could have given you more opportunity. Not that you're not taking advantage of every opportunity you gave.
Yes. I think also seeing him in the bed, like in the hospice, because the thing is, like, the hospice, you go to the hospice when there's no coming back, like you're gonna die.
I've been to hospice before,
and it's terrible. And seeing my dad in that bed, like he lost so much weight. He's so skinny. He's like on a diaper and he's in so much pain, you know, and just, you know, he wanted to live. And that made me realize, okay, like apart from all these fucking hardships, if I ever end up there, I know that I did everything I could to follow my dreams, you know? And that's what I want to do, because I don't think my parents did that.
No,
you know?
but that's what good parents want for their kids. Is to live out their, if the parent didn't live out or get a chance to live out the life they wanted to live, they want their kids to live the life that their kids want to live. There's a very famous article that came out a few years back, and every so often they post it on social media. They asked people in hospice and hospice nurses, you know, what are the regrets of the dying? And the number one thing is they regret not living the life that they wanted to live, not taking more chances, not, you know, being afraid to take a chance to live your passion. Not, you know, the dying regret much more things they didn't do than things they did. You know, I wish I spent more time with loved ones. I wish I didn't care as much about spending as much time at work caring about money. You know, I wish I'd tried to, you know, make a living in my passion before I went back to a corporate job, you know?
Yeah.
And the reverse is true too. I know that for myself. You know, I spent a lot of years in corporate world and I fucking hated it. But I kept doing it because that's what I thought I needed, to the point where I was like so full and so grossed out by it that I saw people in that in the finance profession who love what they did the way you and I love comedy. And I got jealous of them. I'm like, I wish I loved this job the way those jerk-offs love this job. I'm doing it just because I feel like it's what I should be doing. Yeah. And I was successful enough. I was like, but what if I put that much effort working 16-hour days into what I love doing? Who knows where who knows where I could have been, kind of thing. And you can always go back to that too. That's one thing my therapist told me. He's like, dude, leaving the corporate world is harder than going back into it. He's like, trust me, the corporate world would love for you to fail at comedy and come back to a regular job to like get back into the herd. He goes, leaving the herd's hard. Coming back into the herd validates the herd. They'd love that. They would love for you to fail and come back. There's always room for you to come back, but getting a chance to step out and do what you want to do is harder than most things, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Know? But yeah, being in the zone is real. There's nothing like it. There's really nothing like it. It really is like a weird out-of-body experience.
It is. It is. Because it's not just the fact of being creative, it's the way of thinking, where I'm like, I say words in English and I'm like, did I fucking just say that? And then I black out. And then I black out. I don't know. My friends are like, how do you feel about it? I'm like, I feel good, but I don't know what I said, you know?
When you're really rocking I'm really rocking with the crowd, I feel like we're both thinking on the same wavelength kind of thing. Like, it's almost like, you know, like I'm the conductor in the orchestra. I can bring them up, you can bring them down, but they're with you the whole time. Mm-hmm. And they know it's like relatable. Like they could see, like you're almost talking to their soul, kind of even if their laughter is them understanding what you mean without saying it verbally, kind of thing. You know, like one of the favorite jokes some of the jokes I like the most are like when because I tease couples a lot. When I see a couple look away from each other and laugh, I love that. They both know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But they don't want the other to see that. Oh yeah, you know, I've been there before, or you know, I've thought like that. You know, it sort of gets in. It gets there's like a resonance that gets into them that like, but it's so real they don't want each other to know. Like on a first date, especially, those are the best. You know, I see it a lot with people who like, oh, how long have you been dating? 2 months, and they'll turn away and laugh at different parts of the act because they don't want the other one to know that they're a piece of shit too. Yeah, you know, kind of thing. Like, you know, and I'm the butt of the. Usually, I'm making fun of myself, but it's like we've all been there. Like, you know, you're laughing because you identify with the topic I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, or I said something you thought, but you can't say because you're a good person. But I'm the asshole on stage with the microphone, so I can say that kind of thing. Yeah. You know, and it's a relief.
When it's your next show?
My next show, I got some lined up in New York for the holidays. I don't think I got much between then and now. I got a lot of my day job, you know, finance, end of the year, audits, busy with that. But I got some stuff lined up in New York. Got my first headline date in, well, my first club headline date. I've done a few corporates before. In January in Dallas, which will be fun. Mic drop, nice. Plano, Texas. Get your tickets. It'll be up the end of the week, I believe, on the website. So that'll be fun. How was you went to Portugal though, right?
I went to Portugal in August.
How long are you there?
Just a couple weeks. It's gonna smell like
Is that when
dog
your
fart
dad
a lot.
passed?
It's gonna smell like a dog farts a lot.
Well, you can open the door. Mike's not making any noise. Although Oslo and Wrigley had a little fight.
Yeah.
Oslo, I feel like would have fucked him up.
No. Ozzo was scared because he pawed him on the head, and Ozzo doesn't like that.
Yeah,
so big.
Wrigley was playing. Oslo doesn't fucking play.
Yeah, he's not playing. Ozzo doesn't really like him.
Yeah, Oslo's like me. He doesn't bother you until you fuck with him, and then he goes for your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Your throat.
But he acts like a tough guy, but he's scared, you know.
Well, it's all little dogs. I mean, they got a bark louder than a bite. Although it's ironically, I feel like the small dog. Have you ever taken him to a dog park?
Yeah, he got attacked. That's why I don't take him there anymore.
Oh, really? Because I feel like he's the kind of dog that's sort of the referee at the dog park.
He is,
You know.
and he gets very cocky, and he like walks around like a little fucking horse, and he does barks that I've never heard before, and I'm just kind of like, whose dog is this? But yeah, I'm kind of scared because he got attacked.
Well, that's the thing about dogs.
What were you talking before this? We were talking about something interesting.
Oh, about being in the zone during
No,
comedy?
you're saying you're headlining.
Oh, yeah, you were asking me if I was headlining, and I was.
Yeah. I'm gonna
And
do.
I asked you about. I asked you about Portugal because I know you had your.
Oh yeah, I
one-woman
was in
show.
Portugal. Yeah, so I did a huge show in Portugal.
Yeah, so that's right. The last time you were
1
talking,
hour.
you have two different acts. You have like a Portuguese act
Yeah.
and an English act. And I remember asking you, I was like, "Is it the same joke?" She's like, "It can't be because
It can't be.
language doesn't work like that."
Yeah.
So how'd the Portuguese one go?
So it went really well,
Hmm.
but I was supposed to do it in English, and everyone was kind of bombing.
Why?
Because it's an international comedy festival.
Oh, okay. Well, did you do your English act or your Portuguese act?
So I'm gonna get to it.
Okay, sorry.
That no, so it was in English, and people were kind of having a hard time. Comics were having a hard time, and they were coming out from the stage sweating balls. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna bomb my ass off. And I was doing an hour. I always think I'm gonna bomb. And then I got up there, and I was like, who here is Portuguese? And everybody raised their hand.
You're
I
in
said,
Portugal.
Exactly, but Lisbon, there's a lot of tourists
International.
now. There's a lot of people from California, actually. And I said, okay, would you guys mind if I just do my set in Portuguese? And they go, no. And actually, it went really well. They were all listening. They were all paying attention. My friends from high school came to see me.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that was really cool because I didn't know they were coming. So they surprised me.
Oh,
Made me
that's
really
dope.
happy.
That's dope.
Yeah, I cried.
Aw. You don't seem like a crier either.
I know, but I was just touched to see them. You know?
Well, that's, yeah, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
But
So-
I do feel like I did Australia, and they speak fucking English. But the comedic sensibilities and the timing, my accent could be fucking weird. All that
Completely
bullshit.
different.
But then also, like, some crowds... Where was I? Oh, in Germany. Like, they'll think it's funny, but they don't... It's almost like the English. Like, they're like... They laugh, but not like the way Americans laugh. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like more reserved.
Oh, yeah,
It might be an inkling of the old Nazi fucking fascist thing where they're just stoic. But no, that was great. But I'm like, well, why don't you guys laugh like American crowds? But like, that's not how we do it.
Have you been to England to the
Edinburgh?
Secret Comedy Club?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's a good club. They laugh a lot there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I did some pub shows, but then you do like a club show, and the people who go to the clubs like know the way comedy works. It's weird. Like even in Australia, comedy's not as ubiquitous as it is here. Like it's definitely a distinctly American thing for sure. You know, like there's like one big club in Berlin, and then they have bar shows that pay fantastic. I was telling you the other day, like what they were paying in fucking Australia for bar shows, doing like 15 minutes, they're paying $250. I'm like, what? Like what? Like, I can make a fucking living here just doing
Yeah.
bar shows.
I mean,
but-
some places in New York are like that too.
Yeah, but those are probably comic run shows. You know, I mean, you go to an average club here, a fucking feature set's $100. It's ridiculous.
I know.
Like the price hasn't changed since 1975, whatever. But yeah, there's different sensibilities, but there is just the whole timing thing. Like that's why I was so fascinated asking you the last time about doing comedy in Portuguese versus English, because for me to do comedy in another language, I'd have to know it well enough to like know the idioms and the phrases that the locals use. You know, like
Yeah,
there are certain words in English that just don't fucking translate. You know, like
they don't.
like the voice inflection doesn't work. You know, I mean, like, dude, even performing in New York, like the very first time I performed in New York with Jeff,
Jeff who?
Jeff Dye.
Oh, okay.
Obviously he did great, but I crushed. He's like, dude, you're really into him. Like, yeah, because these are my people. Like, my tone of voice doesn't scare them.
Yes.
Every reference I get, they get. Like this. It's just one of those sort of things, which is probably smart that you fucking just moved into the Portuguese. Because if the crowd was Portuguese, now if half the crowd raised their hand and said they were American, the other half said they were Portuguese, maybe you should have done it in English.
Yeah.
But if most of the crowd was Portuguese,
They are.
then fucking roll with it.
Right.
But like I said, and there's also, it just takes, so I spent a month in Australia. Like the first week, I was like just doing the same jokes, just trying to get my timing. And also just changing some of the references. Like instead of saying, like I had a joke about my name, and using the word cunt is normal there.
Yeah.
Whereas Randy, my name, is like more of a slur than the word cunt.
Why? What does it mean, Randy?
It means you're horny. They use Randy instead of horny.
Ah.
So no one's named Randy, but everybody calls their friends, oh, he's a good cunt. Like, whereas here we use cunt as an insult.
Yeah.
And Randy is, no one uses it for that. So little shit like that you sort of change around, that you sort of get the beats on. And then also just pausing. Like, they speak English, I speak English. But my accent is still weird enough to them that I have to like slow down certain things. Where it changes the word slightly. Whereas in New York, like Jeff was too slow and they wanted it faster.
Yeah, got it.
Sort of the cadence was different. It's just one of those things.
The rhythm,
That's one of the fun things about comedy too. Like, you can write to the fucking cows come home. And you might think you have the best joke. You don't know until you deliver it.
Yeah.
Like the 10,000 hours that they say you need to be an expert in comedy, like even in music, you can practice at home. You can, sing or play guitar. We can, write jokes and practice into a fucking mirror all we want. We have to get our 10,000 hours 5 minutes at a time on stage, or it has to be live. There's no other way to know if something works.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, and I'm sure you, like me, I have jokes that I don't even know why they work.
I don't know.
Like you look at it on paper, like that doesn't make any fucking sense. But live, it lands. It lands.
Yeah, that's true. It's very strange.
Yeah,
it's very strange.
Do you like comedy in English or Portuguese more?
I don't know who the fuck I am.
Portuguese is your first language. I feel like it would be.
I don't know who I am anymore. I'm not gonna lie. I don't feel at home anywhere. I don't feel at home here. I don't feel at home in Portugal.
Well, that's also most comedians. We're misfits. That's going back to how we started this, talking about why.
Can I have a gum?
Yeah.
I won't be smacking here.
Sorry, here you go.
I think my throat hurts a little bit. Still.
No, that's all. COVID, AIDS, HIV.
Oh, can you tell?
Spit in my mouth.
I will. I was at the comedy store, and my friend from the UK was like, "Hey, can you come to a comedy show?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I was standing in line with them, and he took some pill. I don't know what pill it was.
Out here?
Yeah. And he was like,
knows this day and age, fucking designer
he was like,
drugs.
"Oh, I have no water." And I said as a joke, "I can spit in your mouth." And he goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes like that. And I didn't even wait it. I just go.
Oh, you should hit him with the.
I don't have.
Phlegm, get a loogie go.
I don't have the Louis.
Just give him the not sexy spit. The fucking.
That's not sexy.
The cough spit.
It's sexy.
Well, no, the Hawk Tua thing that.
Oh, that bitch! Yeah.
The mouth spit is one thing. If you're getting like fucking snot from the back of your throat,
that's disgusting.
You should hit him with that.
So gross.
Getting back to the very first thing we were talking about, not choosing comedy, like this is what you have to do kind of thing.
So interesting.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this because I was like, for so long I tried to run away from it. I've did so many different jobs. I've been a flight attendant. I was a private chef. Then I was
but also like legitimate jobs. Like it's not you like bouncing around being a fucking substitute teacher and driving for Uber.
I've done that.
Flight attendant, you have to go to like a school. Like,
yeah, you have to go to school. But I did substitute teacher and I did waitressing and I did all the jobs.
Yeah, but
because
to be a chef, you have to be trained. You have to have some.
Not trained to be a chef.
Still, you have to learn how to fucking cook. Like you have to build a skill. They don't let anyone be a flight attendant. Like,
that's true.
You have to go to school for that. Like, union jobs, real things you can make a living at doing.
Yeah. But the point I was trying to make is that I tried to run away from this feeling for so long because I just thought this is not for me. I just thought I was
not realistic, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's not realistic. And you kind of feel like crazy, right? You kind of feel like, what the fuck is wrong with me, you know? And I was like asking, okay, if I'm supposed to be this, like, I need a sign, you know, that I'm not crazy. And I was doing the dishes, and I put on a podcast. I don't remember what podcast it was, but it was Charlie Hunman. Do you know who that is? The guy from Sons of Anarchy, the actor.
Oh yeah.
And he was just talking about how he came to LA and he was really fucking broke. And he was talking exactly about that he had this feeling that he just had to keep going. And he said all the words that I thought in my thought of, like, you know, you just think you're paranoid and that you kind of wish you didn't have that feeling, but you can't explain it.
Yeah, you have like an inferiority complex, like an imposter syndrome. Like, I don't belong here.
And then I was like, oh shit, maybe this is my sign. I don't know how the fuck this things happen.
Well, it's what, like I said, it's I feel like it's my addiction. Like, I have to do it, or else I don't feel right, and I feel worse if I'm not doing it. You know, like if I go a few days without doing stand up, not only do I miss it, I feel like I'm missing out. Like, and a buddy of mine who, one of the guys who helped convince me to get into comedy, he's like, dude, you live like a comedian. Like, your lifestyle is that. Like, you're dying to say whatever you want to say. The shit you say is ridiculous, which get you fired from most any job. You know, you love traveling. You have no attachments. He's like, you're living like a comedian. You might as well just be one.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. And I thought about it. I was like, even if I never quote unquote make it, like what I like doing in my free time is making people laugh. You know, talking shit and on it, for me especially with comedy, being honest. I feel like it's the only job where not only do you get to be honest, the more honest you are, the better you'll be at it. You know, like if you're bullshitting yourself, crowd's not going to buy it.
Yeah.
You know, like they expect you to say the things that they can't say because you're on stage and you can. You know, it's almost like a relief kind of thing. Like if I bomb, I want to go on stage more than if I crush, because I don't want that to be the last time I like, you know, and that's how I know I'm hooked. Like, 'cause most people, when you get that kind of humiliation in front of, you know, 100 people, they never want to do it again.
Yeah.
And my first thought was like, I got to do it again. Like, that's not, you know, and that's how I knew. I was like, all right, well, this is, you know, there's no way I can get run away from this kind of, like, it's the only thing I actually give a shit like about doing on a personal level, you know? Yeah, it's like, it's kind of like the Muse. I feel like it chose me, you know? And I don't even think I was never a creative person. I was like a fucking math science guy. You know?
Really?
Yeah, I was a finance guy. I'm a numbers guy. I'm good at it, but I don't do it for fun.
Yeah.
But this, like I said, it's like compulsive. Like, if I haven't been on stage in a while, I start fucking making jokes and saying obnoxious things on work call. like
really?
I have to like sort of get it out there. I don't know. It's like it gets its hooks in you. So I tell younger comics, like, oh, should I do it? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, give it a try. You'll know if you want to do it or not.
Yeah.
You know, like, and the stage. Donald Rollins told me that. He's like, the stage will teach you everything you need to know. He's like, oh, should you say it or should you not say it? If the crowd laughs, you'll keep saying it. If they don't, you'll never say that shit again.
Yeah.
You know, he's like, oh, you know, do you like it? Go up there and see how you feel. You know, if you bomb and want to get up, great. If you crush and want to get up, great. But if you feel anything differently, then it's not for you. You know, so it's sort of one of those things. And ultimately, too, I thought about it just from a financial perspective. I feel like there's no better financial security than being a headliner comic. Because they can't cancel you from being you, and no one can replace you being you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they tried to cancel Louis C.K. He just didn't tour in the United States for a little while, but he was still making millions of dollars touring in Europe.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you have like your own following, who the fuck is going to stop you from
also
doing what you want to do? Like,
you know, the thing is that also people in Europe, they're not on top of these things.
Yeah.
They can like you as an artist, and they're not going to go deep dive in who's your wife, who you married to, what did you say, where do you live. They don't care about that stuff.
Yeah, they're a little bit more like America in the 90s when, like, celebrities, their personal life wasn't a fucking topic of conversation.
It's not. It's not. That's why a lot of times I go to shows, there's very famous comedians, and I don't know them. It's not that I don't care. It's not that I don't watch comedy. I watch comedy, but I don't watch, like, I watch sometimes what goes on Netflix. I don't watch Instagram. I don't watch, you know.
I had no idea who the fuck Drewski was. And, you know, like there's probably like 20 comics who make over $1 million a year that I had no fuck. That's how. But also that goes to show you how like siloed it is. Like the fact that that person can be that famous in the industry that we're both in, and neither of us know them. It's like, well, then what's to stop me from having my little corner of fame? You know, and I don't even need to be making $1 million a year. If I'm making 200 grand a year, like, you know, just doing 40 headline dates, it's like, what fucking day job do I need?
Yeah.
But also, no one can fire me from that. Like, I'll be able to make $200,000 a year until I'm fucking dead. Like, you know, because that fan base follows you throughout the thing. Like, there's a guy in Boston, this guy named Bob Marley, the man from Maine. He only does shows in New England, and he does 3 shows a year in Florida during the summer where he goes down to his summer house. And that's it.
Who's this guy?
Bob Marley. But he sells out the Wilbur Theater like for fucking a week. That probably nets him, you know, 300 grand. And he probably does 20 other shows for the year. He's probably making a fucking, you know, anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 a year. Fucking guy's never left New England, but he has a solid base there. And then now that he's getting older, he's like in his 60s. Half those people moved down to Florida, so he goes down to fucking Tampa and performs on there in the, you know, in the wintertime, when all his followers go down there to get away from the New England summer. And again, no one outside of New England knows who the fuck that guy is, but that guy's making a living. That's like it takes when you break down the numbers, you do the math. It takes a lot less than you think to live a comfortable lifestyle in comedy, right, and not be Dave Chappelle. You know, like there are plenty of comics out there. Dude, people rag on cruise ship comics. And granted, I wouldn't want to do cruise ships all my life.
No, me neither.
But some of those guys make fucking hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and you know, fucking magicians make a living. Like there are little corners of the world that most people, you and I included, aren't aware of. But if you get like your steady audience in there, you're all set. If you had 200,000 people follow you and are willing to spend $10 on you a year, that's $2 million a year in revenue, right? That 200,000 people ain't a lot when there's 350 million people in this country alone, let alone globally, right? I mean, who's that French comic? Fucking guys like Seinfeld over there. Over here, he's nobody. I'm sure you know who he is. What's his name? He came to New York for a little bit and then went back there. I'm trying to think. French stand-up comic. Yeah. Gad Emela. This dude. I mean, this guy's like making fucking more than 10 million a year in France alone. And you know, I've never fucking heard of him.
Never heard of him either.
Then you could be the biggest comic in Portugal and be nobody here and be a millionaire. You know? I mean, Arj Barker is an American comic who lives in Australia. He's a headliner out there. He didn't make it here. He's doing great. There's a lot of that out there.
He didn't make it here.
Well, he didn't make it as big here, but he made it big enough over there. So he was going there a lot, you know, half the time out of the year, married an Australian woman, and then fucking moved out there.
I just think that LA, you know, there's a lot of competition, and so is in New York. And you just because you're really big somewhere else, it doesn't mean you get to these two cities and you just start killing it, you know?
No, but you and I both know comics that are big in this city that don't fucking hit the road. You know?
Yeah. And
that's great for them, but unless they get a TV deal, if they're not building their own fan base, you have no I feel like you have no steady income. If you're a stand-up comedian and aren't doing, you know, at least 30 weekends a year headlining on the road, your income is very tenuous. Because if you go to, you know, Columbus, Ohio twice a year and sell it out, and you have a fan base there that'll always come out every time you go to Columbus, that's reliable income. But if you're a stand-up comedian who gets a sitcom and stops going on the road, if they cancel your sitcom, you're fucked.
Yeah.
You know?
But sometimes you don't have time to go on the road when you're doing a sitcom.
No, of course not. But you should still stay sharp. I mean, Joe Rogan, you know, had a sitcom for years and then did Fear Factor.
Oh, he did? What sitcom?
He was on news radio.
I don't know that.
Oh yeah, he's been making bread for a long fucking time, but he never got off the road. So like even in lulls, you know, he didn't need a TV show to pay his mortgage, you know, and that's why I feel like if you're gonna do stand up comedy, building an audience is like the most important thing because they'll stay with you in good times and bad, you know, and I mean fucking Jay Leno famously never spent any of his Tonight Show money. He's banked all that. He made like $400-something million over the 20 years he was on, you know, hosting the show. But the only money he spent is because every weekend he still went on the road and did gigs. To this day, he still does gigs. I just saw it yesterday. He's doing fucking Yamava commercials for Yamava Casino out in fucking...
Really?
Yeah. But he's probably getting paid $250,000 for each show he's doing. You know? So the money, for the TV money was just gravy. You know? It's... I feel like you have to set one realistic goals. You should have multiple goals, but there should be like steps along the way. Mm-hmm. But for me, I felt like the security of building a fan base that will show up when you ask them to show up, that's what makes you sort of bulletproof. Because then nothing that you say or do in Hollywood, or you piss off some fucking producer, or you tell Harvey Weinstein it won't blow you for that part, none of that will matter because you still have your audience and your fans to sort of fall back to.
Yeah.
You know? And it's hard to build that. It takes time to build that.
But look,
but building that is more important than anything else.
You can have all the fans, but if people don't want to give you roles, they're not going to give you roles. You know, I have...
Yeah, and then you get big enough where you're like Matt Rife and they're just forced to give you roles because your fans are demanding. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you have the fan base, that trumps everything else.
I don't agree with that.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Burr is now a serious actor and director in Hollywood. He wouldn't have had that chance at all unless he was a killer stand-up comedian.
Yes, but of course.
He bullied his way into Hollywood.
Caralho, you keep interrupting me. You don't let me
Sorry.
speak. Here, get on your knees so I can slap your ass.
We're not doing that. I pay extra for that. That's for the Patreon.
What I was trying to tell you is, for example, have you seen There's the Same Faces in Hollywood?
This is what faces?
There's always the same faces in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I've auditioned for a lot of things that I really needed it because it was going to change my life. Meanwhile, there's actors, and I'm not being shady about this or sour. Like, I appreciate the hustle because I know it's character development in a way. But I end up losing those roles for very famous people. And there's a very famous actors that we even grow up watching on TV. They have way less followers than I do.
Oh, yeah. Character actors. Like,
yeah.
There's like actors you can remember their face but never their name. Like,
yeah.
Those people.
Yeah. But I think it's just about, you know, of course, Bill Burr been doing this for so long. There's no comparison. But, you know, he did a lot of things. Like he did the cartoons, and he always done roles.
For almost 30 years at that point.
Exactly, that is different. But
his
like
overnight success, it took 30 years.
Exactly, but like for me, if I auditioned for something, and even if I have more followers than this actor who has 25 credits and I have 5, it's gonna go for him or her still.
Yeah, of course. But then what you're hoping for is the fallout where they can't do it, and like, oh, we'll have her do it then. But then you do it and do a good job. Then you become that person that, like, oh, they put you into that role. The reason why those kind of actors get a lot of the work that they do is because they've worked enough in Hollywood that other directors and producers know what they'll get out of them. So it's like, oh, you know, they'll audition many people for it, but they'll have that person in mind. And if that person's available, they'll go with them and tell everyone else they audition to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
But if they're not available and you're their second best choice, and they say, oh, I can't do it, then they'll call you. And if you crush the job, then you get on the list of, oh, if we need someone with a Latin accent, a female of your age, if you're like fit the roles, we'll use her. You just get on the list.
So
that kind of thing, like you.
So I auditioned for a very big movie that's coming out now. I'll tell you after off the commercial.
Yeah.
And they wanted a Portuguese girl.
Yeah, but if Sofia Vergara isn't available because she can play Portuguese, then they'll take you.
No. So that's what I was going to tell you. So it was between me and this other very famous Portuguese actress. And the characteristic of the character was me. Like, I have very strong features, very strong, I have big lips, my nose. Like, this other Portuguese girl, she's just plain white. Matter of fact, she looks French because she's beautiful. Very beautiful, petite, delicate. But the character description was me. It was like fiery, Latin, curves, all this stuff. But she has way more credits than I do, and she's with a big agency, so of course they went for her.
Yeah, but, but it's also she's a known entity in that
world.
Yeah, in that world, in that whoever is doing, like, the casting director won't get fired if they hire her, because she's sort of known in Hollywood. So it's like, oh, if that actress doesn't deliver, they won't blame it on the casting director because, oh, they expected it. But if they take a chance on you and you fuck up, then the casting director will have to answer to why did you fight for this new unknown person who fucking wasted a day shooting. But that's the thing, once you get your foot in the door and you get a spot and you land well, you'll be on the list of people that those casting directors and those directors will be like, oh, we'll work with her again because, you know, we know she can fill this role and she can do the part and yada yada. And even better, you're cheaper than the now established actors in Hollywood who could deliver the same thing, but you'll do it for half the price because you're not like a 20-year SAG veteran. You know, it all comes down to money. I mean, at the end of the day, really, it's no one's gonna fire an executive producer or a director for demanding Brad Pitt be the lead in a movie, but they will if it's an unknown actor and the movie flops. You know?
Yeah.
Like that's why A-listers can have Adam Sandler hasn't made a movie worth watching in 20 fucking years, but people still finance his movies because he's Adam Sandler.
Yeah.
You know, no one's gonna fire you for saying I want to do an Adam Sandler movie. They will fire you if you say I want to do a Randy Valerio movie, and even if it only costs $500,000 and makes $2 million instead of, you know, costing $400 million and they make $500. Like it's just everyone. It's the business part of it. It's the cover your ass stuff. You know, it's why people hire lawyers and accountants. People hire companies and individuals hire accountants because if they fuck up on their taxes, they can say, "Oh, well, my accountant told me," you know, and the accountant's like, "Oh yeah, he gave me the wrong paperwork," so there's no one to place the blame on, you know. So that's why, like, when you finally land one of these roles, if you deliver, after that, I feel like that's when this ball starts rolling.
I already landed a couple of roles, but I don't understand how things work. But the point is, we're talking about having the numbers. I don't know how anything works anymore, to be honest.
Well, I mean, you have good numbers, but now, you know, there's a, you know, like financial inflation, like, you know, there's number inflation too, right? Like 100,000 followers ain't what it used to be. Million followers ain't what it used to be. And also it depends on the platform. And I've said this, I've noticed this just from my own gigs. I have friends who have like 500,000 followers on TikTok, huge TikTok accounts. They can't get a fucking ass in the seat, you know, but with my 75,000 Instagram, I can get, you know, two dozen people in the seats. So what good is that $500,000 of Asian, you know, Chinese TikTok followers versus, you know, 75,000 that actually show the fuck up?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Dave Chappelle doesn't even have an Instagram account and he sells shit out, you know, whereas Matt Rife had to have millions of followers before Netflix gave him a fucking deal. You know, they want to bet on sure things.
Yeah.
No one wants to take a chance. They're like fucking comedy clubs. Comedy clubs don't promote shit anymore.
They don't.
They want you to bring the fucking audience. They're like, why am I giving you any of this goddamn money? I should just book a fucking banquet hall and do it myself.
Yeah.
You know, like four-wall the fucking thing. Like, why would I bother? You know, I've told other headliner comics that to fire their agent. They go, why? It's like, I just saw you texting Randy at Hyenas in Dallas. If you're setting up your dates, why are you giving your agent 10%? Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know, your manager's helping you manage your career. Your agent's supposed to be booking you gigs you can't get. If your relationship with the club owners is what's getting you the gigs, why are you giving 10% to an agent? Fuck that guy. You know, or just get a TV agent, a commercial agent. Don't get a booking agent because they're not giving you anything. You already have relationships with, you know, all the major chains, so why cut them in on it? You know, oh my God, it's one of the reasons why I'm like the worst comic to get into festivals because they have like after you do the festival, you have like meet and greets with the industry people. And they've asked me, like, well, what do you want to do with this? Like, well, I want to do 40 weekends a year. I want to have my podcast. And, you know, if I get some TV or commercial work, great. But I'm not trying to turn comedy into, you know, a movie career. And they're like, well, would you want to, you know, partner up with this, such and such on your podcast? I said, no, I want to own all of it. It's my fucking podcast. Like, I put in all the work.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I cut you guys in now? Like,
yeah.
You know, like, oh, because I built something, now you guys want a piece? Fuck off. And
yeah.
And I just tell them honestly, like, yeah, well, like, why would I cut anybody in on this? And they're like, oh, and they immediately lose interest because they just want to scrape their 10% of cream off the top. They don't want to do the fucking work. Yeah. They're like real estate brokers, you know, like, you know, oh, your house is great, I'll sell that. But if your house is like takes any effort, no one wants to sell the shit. You're like, you know, everyone's lazy as shit. As are we. I'm saying like that, but that's why, you know, if I'm putting effort in, I want to, everything I do, even this podcast is towards building real sticky relationships with like I said, I'd rather have 10,000 fans who fucking show up when I ask them to show up than 200,000 fair weather fucking fans who, you know, who don't come out or who will unfollow me because of one joke, you know, or this or that. Like if I post a joke and it causes followers to unfollow me, in my head, good. They shouldn't have been there anyway. they're taking a seat from somebody else who wouldn't be bothered by it. Because if you don't like that one joke, you just don't hit like. You just move to the next fucking one. You're like, I don't want sort of wishy-washy, fucking jerk off fair weather fans. Like it's like being like the flavor of the month. Like it's like instead of being a one-hit wonder, I'd rather be fucking Michael Bublé, like who's corny but sells out all the time and people show up, than having like one crushing song and no one ever knows who the fuck I like. It's, dude, like a guy like Matt Rife, like when the next hot young male comic comes out, I hope it doesn't affect his career, but it might. Like Taylor Swift isn't going to be like before her, it was Beyonce. Before that, it was Britney Spears. Before that, it was Madonna. Like there's always some new hot shit coming out, but to have staying power, like to build a real sort of following, dude, like this podcast, there are people who fucking jump down my neck on my DMs if I don't release it like by noon on Wednesday.
Huh.
I'd rather have that than have, 20,000 YouTube subscribers, none of whom who fucking return and watch it. Like you want that stickiness is a real reliable customer. That's the value of a customer. Like people who will like donate just because they, want to help you out. Like, that kind of thing. And I feel like you have you're building that whole thing, but you're also trying, because you don't want to get a day job. You're like, all right, but now I need like,
you need to grind.
You also need like the big pop of, all right, I need Hollywood to, give me a part so I can have, 90 days of fucking consistent revenue and not have to go out and do this or that X, Y, or Z show or go to Portugal to do a Portuguese TV thing. You're kind of getting yanked left and right.
I think honestly that the Portugal thing went really well because I didn't had the financial thing to go home. So me having the show and they paid me, it paid my ticket because otherwise I wouldn't have seen my dad.
Well, no, and that's something you should exploit because the very first time I joined was the first time you went back and did comedy in Portuguese, and you were telling me it was like a big TV thing, and you were like, what I got was that you were uncomfortable.
It was terrible. I was like, I never want to do this again.
I'm sure it went better than you thought, but your discomfort with it was apparent.
But it was not my crowd.
But if you're able to spend, like if you want to go back for 3 months out of the year to do a series of shows and go see your family, the fact that you did that and have gone back a few times, now you can do that. Now you have another source of income.
Yeah.
So you can like sort of bolt for a few months, make some money over there, see your family and get paid for it and have a free flight home and a flight back. There's value to that. Mm-hmm. It's all. That's the thing about it. It's also you're being excited. You're starting a business of one. You're an entrepreneur. Your product is yourself, and you're trying to figure out how to sell yourself. When most comedians are terrible marketers.
I'm a terrible marketer too.
Oh, I'm horrible at it.
I'm terrible at it.
But then you have some people.
I just want to have fun. I don't want to worry about the fucking finance thing. I just want to be creative and write. I don't want to worry about.
Yeah, well, that's the artist struggle. Is figure out a way to make a living while still doing your passion, and then convert that to having your passion be the way you make the living. Like that's like sort of the hardest. I feel like the hardest part about it, because one, you don't want to. You feel like a whore if you're treating your passion like I got to turn this into a money machine.
Yeah. And
you also, me personally, I don't want comedy to ever feel like a job. I want to get paid and feel like I fucking fleeced everybody. Like, it's one of my favorite things. Like we said when we flew out of doing road gigs on Sundays. We'd be hungover when Jeff still drank, and we'd be waiting in like the clear line at the airport at 6:30 in the morning to get our flights back. And he would lean over and he'd be like, "Dude, we fooled them again." It's like, "Dude, they paid us to do this." He was like, "We would have done it for free." I'm like, "Yeah," And I've asked him. I said, "What would you do if you had $1 billion?" He's like, "I'd do my fucking spots." He's like, I'd do what I'd still do what I'm doing. He's like, this is what I would do. I said, "What if you do if you're broke?" He's like, "Well, I'd have to bartend or be a valet during the day and then still do comedy at night." He's like, what I'm doing in comedy has nothing to do with the amount of money they're paying me. He goes, I still do gigs for no fucking money. He goes, dude, I did a gig with him just at a club because it was a famous club that had just reopened, and they offered him shit money. But because Mitch Hedberg, one of his heroes, performed there, he's like, we're going to perform there. I don't give a fuck what they're paying. I want to go to Alaska. All right, well, I'll book gigs in Alaska. Let's go to Alaska. Like, you can sort of you sort of treat it like that. And then, like I said, when they, dude, I did a corporate recently. They paid me fucking heaps, and I'm like, I feel like I'm robbing them. Like, you know, like, it's like what? Like they paid me like a week's or a 2 weeks paycheck in one night, and it was here in L.A.
That's amazing. I don't get those.
I bet you could. I bet you can get a ton in fucking Portugal. That's actually probably the move, because you have both languages.
Yeah.
You speak Spanish?
I speak some Spanish, but not good enough to do comedy.
Be surprised. I wonder if that works. Does that work in other languages? Like, you know, Nicole Tran or Ismo, like comics, non-American comics who do comedy here in English. I feel like the crowd finds their accent kind of funny, or they'll make jokes about their own accent or about the differences between where they're from and here. Mm-hmm. Does that work? Like if I were to go to Portugal and knew enough Portuguese to get by, but was clearly an American, like would the crowd find it funny that I'm butchering Portuguese or no?
Yeah.
Okay, they would.
They would.
Yeah, I feel like Latin countries, France, no. The French seem to be very fucking sensitive about fucking up the French language.
I know. I don't get that.
Yeah, I mean, I know, Latin America, like Spanish, in South America, Central America, if you fuck it up, they're just happy you're even trying. But I don't know how the Portuguese.
Yeah, that's true. No, the Portuguese are like that as well. They think it's cute.
Yeah.
They like that you try.
So you said a lot of Californians moved out there?
Yeah.
I heard
Portugal is like California, but
I heard
cheaper.
it was cheap to live. Mm-hmm. And if you like buy a house, they'll like give you citizenship.
I don't know about that.
Can you get a Portuguese passport if one of your relatives is a Portuguese citizen?
I think like if it's your grandfather or something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say because a friend of mine's getting her Spanish citizenship because her grandmother was born and lived and died in Spain. But if you have like one grandparent, she's able to get like an EU passport. I was like, oh shit, that seems valuable nowadays.
Yeah, definitely is, especially nowadays.
Yeah. Do you have any trouble getting back at the border?
No.
Did they check your phone when you flew back?
No.
So I heard they're doing that. Did you hear about that?
I mean, even if they did, I don't have anything wrong there. I don't do any politic jokes. I don't say anything. So.
Yeah, and neither do I for the most part. But just the idea of it, the idea that someone's gonna fucking look at my jokes online and like that's so un-American. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know if Portugal has a long history of democracy. When did you guys get democracy out there? When was your?
I don't fucking know. I don't remember which year, but we had dictatorship. We had dictatorship with Salazar. Then there was a revolution.
Yeah, who's the guy in Spain for a long time?
I don't fucking know Spain.
Oh, is that like your Puerto Rico for Dominicans?
No, I don't know anything about them.
Are they your mortal enemy?
I don't think so. I don't see it like that. We're like fake twin brothers that low-key hate each other.
But that's it's like the Japanese and Chinese to to Americans, they're all they all look the same, but to themselves it's like they're diametric enemies. The Dominicans and Puerto Ricans. My father had a vendetta against every Puerto Rican person on earth.
Why? Where was your father from?
The Dominican Republic.
Are you Dominican?
Yeah.
Huh. I would never think.
Well, half, and then my mom's Irish from New York.
Pardon me. I would never think.
Yeah, no one does. Everyone thinks I'm Italian, and depending on who's asking, I either go with it or tell. If it's college, no, I'm Hispanic. If it's a job, no, I'm white.
That's crazy.
Whatever you want me to be to get what I want out of this. Do the Portuguese because you've immigrated here? What do the Portuguese think of America and Americans?
I don't fucking know. Can you stop getting me things that can get me deported?
Well, no, I'm asking you what Portuguese. I'm not asking you what you think. Obviously, you like America. You came here.
I'm not going to answer any questions like that.
Wow, that shook, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so we'll cut it back here.
Thank you.
On the shook part.
And then we're going to get out of here. I'll tell you why.
Yeah, no, I would love to know why, but that's part of the problem. I feel like it used to be outside of the American dream lived outside of America. Like everyone looked at it, everyone thought better of the United States than people born here. People born here take it for granted. People in other countries look at the United States and look at it's opportunity, this, that, and this. People born here are like, oh, what a shithole. They complain constantly. It's kind of weird, at least in my experience. But it's interesting to think Western European countries think, because they're similar enough to us? Do they still think of America as, sort of an exemplar of a country, or is it like, oh, America's on the slide?
No one thinks that anymore. And let's move on. Let's not talk about this. Mike, cut it here. He keeps pushing the fucking conversation. I don't get it.
Well,
Okay, so tell me what else has been
all
happening.
right, show me your feet instead.
What have you been doing? Tell me
I've been
things.
working a ton, man. Doing the day job a ton. I said I had those corporate gigs, and I did some. Since I last saw you, I finally did one of my favorite gigs. I got to perform for the troops down at the Marine Corps Recruiting Depot in San Diego.
How did you get that gig?
I'll hook you up, my guy Adam Richmond. They would love to have you down there. Love to have you down there, because you're like me, edgier and dirtier, but you're also a woman, which they don't get to see a lot of.
I will come.
Dude,
I used to be a cook for the Marines in Berlin.
No shit.
Yeah, and to this
That's
day,
who you cook for?
well,
amongst many other people.
That was one time. Yeah, that was for 3 years actually, and even in New York, they came to my show.
They're the best audience members. They
buy tickets.
Totally into it. They thank you for coming. Like, I felt so bad. Like, they, on the meet and greet afterward, like, oh, thank you so much for coming. I'm like, dude, they paid me to do this. Like,
yeah.
Like, I would have done it for free, but they gave me an amount of money that, even I felt guilty taking.
Yeah.
I was like, you guys deserve it. Like, don't thank me. Thank you. Like, I get to stand up here and say this bullshit because you guys are fighting for my freedom to do so. Like, I'm not fighting for any I'm abusing the privilege you gave me.
Where was this at?
The Marine Corps Recruiting Depot in San Diego.
In San Diego.
Yeah. San Diego has a lot of big bases. But the best audience members, the sweetest guys. And the best is shortly before we went on stage, I was at the bar grabbing a drink, and I told the guys, oh yeah, because they were giving like a 20% discount. Like, oh, I'm one of the comics. And one of the guys was going on the show. I was like, oh, you're on the show? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, that's great, man. He was asking me where I was from, this, that, and this. I said, hey, man, you have any tips for me on, material? What should I say? He's like, go as hard as you can. He goes, as hard and as dirty as you can. I go, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, these guys are fucking animals. He's like, we're all trained to kill. Like, he's like, nothing you say is gonna fucking So what we say to each other is way worse than anything you're gonna say. I'm like, you don't know me. He's like, I don't have to. That's what he said. He's like, all right, So I went and let it rip. And Adam Richmond, the headline, the guy who got me the show. You know Adam, right?
No.
You may have met him at my old Molly show. Anyway, I'll introduce him so he can do the shows. He's like, oh, Randy went dirty. I was like, yeah. He's like, when I got off stage, he goes, you went like hard up front. I was like, yeah, one of the guys told me on the way in. He's like, well, it seemed to work. I was like, all right, because he was like, try and start off, because he knows my material. He's like, try and start off a little easier, because I don't know what, they didn't give us any notes on what to say or not to say. But, I don't want them to get upset with the first thing out of your mouth being, fisting your sister, whatever horrible joke. I was like, oh, all right. But then I spoke to that guy, and he was like, let it rip. And I let it rip. And he's like, all right. So then he went, hard as shit. But they're the best. It's like they all showed up. They were all polite and laughed when they were supposed to laugh. There was no talking amongst themselves. Even if they were hammered, they were like still composed. One guy was like falling off his chair drunk.
Really?
But it didn't interrupt shit. The best people. I mean, think about it. These are the people who volunteer to put themselves, in harm's way, so I can continue to have, free Wi-Fi at Starbucks and talk about my dick at strip malls. These are the kind of people that are there. Like, they're very appreciative people and fun loving. They get some time off, which is dope. Mm-hmm. I can't recommend it enough. Shout out to the troops in the Marine Corps Recruiting Depot, San Diego. I want to do more of those. What I really want to do is do USO tours, and I want to go to foreign bases. Like, I want to go and do a show where I have to wear a bulletproof vest, because I'm in that dangerous of a war zone. Because I feel like those.
I feel like you just go to the Marines at this point.
No, I'm not that.
How old are you?
I'm way too old to do that.
How old are you?
Although I'm not old, I'm apparently young enough to join the Department of Homeland Security. They just increased the age. I'll be 43 in May. Believe it or not. Keeping most of my hair. Losing my voice. Gray hairs.
I have gray hairs too.
I found a gray hair in my nose the other day.
What about you? Have you checked your balls?
Well, I mean, I trim them, so I haven't noticed any. I keep them tight. What's really fucked up? I was telling Chappelle Lacey this before we started the show. Got my hair cut last week, and before I got out of the chair, my barber shaved some hairs out of my ear, and that's without me asking. I didn't know there was hair in my ear. I was like, oh fuck, dude. I felt old. she felt the need to do it without telling me. I was like, oh fuck, that's an old man thing. When you start growing hair in your
I'm actually
ears.
impressed she didn't wax it.
I'm not gonna do waxing
Why not?
because I'm not gay.
You don't have to be gay to do waxing. Seems like
To
you're
wax
gay.
my ears?
No one
She found like a stray hair in my ear. Why would it wax out the
no one
in her ear?
that is gay would say that.
Yeah, because they don't think of waxing as being gay. But I'm 43 from Queens. We use gay in that way, And also, like, if I can't shave it, then or if I can't shave it and I can't see it, then it's not a problem. I was talking about this with Lori Douglas last week because she had just come from getting. I guess it wasn't wax; it was sugared. I guess they use sugar to pull off the hair now or whatever. Mm-hmm. And she's telling me about it. I'm like, it's like that sounds painful. I was like, "Do you wax your ass?" I was like, "No, I don't need to." She's like, "But some people do." I'm like, "Yeah, gay guys." And she was laughing. She goes, "No, but some women have to do that." I'm like, she goes, "Have you ever, seen your asshole?" I'm like, "Not in 43 years. Why would I know what my asshole looks like?"
I mean, if you're with a girl and she wants to eat your ass, then she's going to have a treat.
Yeah, I told her I'm not into it. Don't go poking around down there. It's gross. That's where poop lives,
Yeah. Do you eat girls' ass?
Depends.
See, that's gross. That's where poop lives.
Yeah, well, it depends on the girl. It depends on what we've been up to. It depends on what we were doing before. Obviously not after we went to an Italian dinner. I'm not, or Taco Bell. I'm not digging around down there.
Are you seeing someone right now?
Yeah.
How's that going?
Good. Surprisingly. For me.
Thinking of getting married again?
Oh, never. I've never. No marriage, no kids. Every woman I've dated since I got out of my first, marriage.
Nacya.
I made it very clear to them that I don't want any of that.
Good. Come here, I need a cuddle.
Aw.
Come here. I think his belly hurts.
He's not hurt.
No, his belly. Yes.
Oh, his belly.
His belly, yeah.
Did he get into your tampons again?
No, thank God. Wait.
That clip, I think, by the way, got flagged on YouTube. And I'm like, why? All we talked about was the dog eating it. We didn't swear or anything.
I don't even know.
Right? How old is he now?
7.
7.
Oh no, his belly's hard.
Oh my God, is he constipated?
Yeah. Go and take a shit on Uncle Randy's.
Are you like a good dog owner or are you...
Let him
go. Come on up. Oh. Are you like a good dog owner or are you one of these like helicopter dog owners? I'm sure you've been to the dog park, right? And I feel like a good dog owner lets their dog play. And if, the dogs are like sort of getting a little rough, they sort of wait and see if they can hash it out amongst themselves. Or they immediately start yelling at you and say, "Get your dog off my dog." What? We start blaming you for their dog being a piece of shit.
Well, it depends because my dog was attacked because I let it chill. I don't take Oslo to dog parks anymore.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I don't recommend it because it's like kids. I blame the owner, not the dog. Like if a kid's a bad kid, that means in my mind it means the parent's a shitty parent. You know what I'm saying?
Oslo, sit down.
Do one for the gram.
1, 2, 3. Wow, so handsome.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're attentive, but you're not. But you don't blame. If he fucks up, you don't blame somebody else, kind of thing. Like if that dog who attacked him shouldn't have been at the dog park.
All right, yeah. He had like a piece of meat hanging out from his neck. It was really scary.
Oh shit! Did you get to make them pay for it and all that?
Yeah, of course. I said, "Give me a picture of your ID, and we're gonna go to the vets together," because I didn't want him to get in a car and disappear.
Smart. What'd that run you?
Huh?
What did that run you at the vet to get him fixed?
That was like $800.
800? I'm surprised. That's usually
way more.
That's one of the secrets about the pet care industry. They know that pet owners think of their pets as
children,
part of the family, and even with pet insurance, your deductible is still half the cost. So they just fucking upcharge the shit out of you. They know you won't let the dog die, dude. They're charging like 3 times as much for food that is of the same quality, but it's organic. It's like, what the fuck is that even?
I cook for him.
No.
Yeah.
So what does he eat?
I have like an Instapot. So I make like bison, ground beef bison, like ground bison. And then I throw some sweet potatoes, butter squash, some veggies.
Butter squash?
Yes.
Butternut squash.
Butternut squash. Some veggies like carrots and peas. and missing one thing. And then I just let it be there for like 30 minutes, and then everything is like soft and nice.
Yeah.
And then he eats that. Sometimes I throw chicken livers in there. It's really good for them. But it has a lot of
I like
fat.
chicken livers. You ever eat chicken liver?
I cannot eat it. Anything that's liver, I don't like the texture.
That's fair. It does get a little gritty. But that's another thing. Like, I've seen that before. Like I'll give. What was it? It was a friend of mine back in Boston. I gave like them one of my chicken nuggets. Like, oh, don't give them that.
No, it has a lot of grease.
Well, I understand. I was like, but you and I are eating it. Like, it's good enough for us to eat, but not.
Yeah, because they don't process grease well.
Yeah, but again, they think better of their dogs than they do
Oh yeah.
human beings. You know, it's like, wait a minute, you and I are eating this shit,
Yeah.
and you don't want to give it to the dog, then we should be eating. If your dog shouldn't eat it, why the fuck are we eating this?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. For sure.
Are you like super attached? Do you take them to your gigs and whatnot?
Yeah, of course. You don't know that about me? I take him everywhere. All the comedy clubs.
Even now, like because I've seen you at the shows, I haven't seen him there.
I didn't took him to the store. That was
Okay.
the only thing because I didn't want him.
Well, that place is a cesspool.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust anybody in that place. they're gonna drug your dog.
Yeah, I just didn't want
Your dog's
to.
gonna be on fucking Molly by the end of the night.
But yeah, I take him everywhere. There's this new club upstairs, the Upstairs Comedy Club.
Where's that?
It's in downtown.
Oh, yeah. Downtown's like one of the few places I rarely go to because I fucking hate having to drive down there. It is such a shitbox place to drive.
Yeah, me too. But that's a good club. I take Oslo there.
And nobody gives you shit about it?
No, they're really nice. They love Oslo there.
I'm saying, at any of the clubs?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing you do when you're like, big shot. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah.
Huh.
Well, at least in my mind.
Hollywood Improv is fine. Like all the comedy clubs. I think the only one I didn't took Oslo is the store because I'm not a regular there.
Yeah, but and again, like I said, that place is kind of filthy. I wouldn't, I barely trust myself walking around.
I don't think so.
Well, it's kind of a transient place, There's a lot of rooms, a lot of people in and out,
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of people with fucking weird habits. The last thing you want.
I did took him there once.
Is him, snorting some fentanyl off the ground or something. The last thing you want. Yeah, one of my favorite things I ever heard about. One of the favorite jokes that I've ever heard someone tell about comedians taking their dogs, like in the green room and whatnot. There's a bunch of us at the table, and I won't say who made the joke, but we were talking about how Eliza Schlesinger brought her dog. She brings her little dog everywhere too, and she made like one of the opening acts, like, here, hold him, while she was on stage, and she didn't even know the guy. And I was like, I have to hold this fucking thing, And then about a month later, the dog passed away. And one of the comics at the table goes, "Yeah, I heard it was a suicide," because he hated Eliza so much.
That's a terrible joke.
What, that a dog killed itself?
Yeah.
That's a hilarious joke. How would they? They don't have thumbs.
They could have jumped themselves from somewhere.
No, human beings are the only animals that regularly kill themselves. Which I wonder if others... Well, I guess others eat themselves to death. Yeah.
There's dogs who starve themselves because they're depressed.
What? Really? Mm-hmm. I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's just like really depressed. Like if their owner died or...
Really? I've heard the opposite, like with cats. Like if their owner dies, they'll start eating their owner after they run out of food.
Yeah, of course.
Cats have no soul.
I think all animals do that.
What, will start eating their owner?
Yeah.
No, well, I've read many stories about dogs like sitting on their owner's grave after they've passed because that's where the scent of the person is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dogs are better than human beings. We don't deserve them.
I agree. I'm so lucky that I have this little guy. I think he needs to go poop. That's why he's... Oh,
Yeah.
see?
We'll wrap this up quick then. I don't want to shit on this shag carpet.
He wouldn't. He just would do it on your mouth.
Really? Well, I feel like he's shit in here before, hasn't he?
He never shit here before. He farted, but never shit it.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to the news for the week and get you out of here. I know you got a show later.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Tell me.
And don't worry, I won't bring up anything about politics because there's about 15 minutes you have to cut out, Mike.
Go ahead.
Actually, the first one is related to dogs, and I wanted to ask you because I knew you'd have little Oslo here with you. But it says, according to a recent study, 40% of people would save their dog instead of a stranger in a hypothetical emergency. The research highlights the strong emotional bond many people have with their pets, often considering them part of the family. Participants were asked to imagine life or death scenarios, and their responses reflected moral or emotional priorities rather than actual behavior. The results also show that attachment matters. People are less likely to prioritize a dog that isn't their own. Experts caution that these findings are context dependent and varied based on culture, personal values, and the way the questions are framed. But 40% of people would save their dog over a stranger in a life or death emergency.
I mean, I know the dog. I don't know the stranger.
Well,
I think if I would save anyone as long as I could and my life was not in danger.
I would absolutely save a dog before you. I feel like 40% is too low. If it's my dog, 100%.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, a close friend or a blood relative, then the dog goes first. So any stranger versus my dog is gonna lose that battle. Like in a burning building, I'm grabbing my dog and the person can burn to death.
Yeah, I agree. I have to save my dog.
Yeah. I mean, because they're just a better like they're better than people.
They're better than people.
They love you unconditionally. They don't give you any talk back.
Look at him staring at me.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, there's a thing.
You are. You're amazing.
Well, what's wild is they've done brain scans and dogs actually, they confirmed, like they've trained dogs to sit still in an MRI, which I don't know how that's even possible because it's, confined and loud. But they've done like live brain scans. They actually love you the same way we love like our parents or our children. Like the same parts of their brain get activated on the MRI that we do when we see our wives or our husbands or our children or our parents. That's how deep the connection is. And they can look you in the eye, which other animals do not do.
Yeah. Ozzo will stare at me for hours. Like he'll get in front of me and he'll just like look at me like this. And even if I ignore him, he keeps looking at me. And then if I look at him, he starts shaking his tail.
Does he follow you into the bathroom?
Everywhere.
Like when he goes to take a leak? It's like, I can't even go to the bathroom alone.
Look, he follows me everywhere. Sometimes when I'm on stage, I call him. He comes from the green room on stage.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. He behaves well. I brought him to New York City for my one-woman show. He comes with me to the doctor. He comes with me to get my nails done. He just sits there patiently.
You guys do some tricks with him as part of the act.
Maybe. At night, he pulls the covers. He gets with his skin on my skin. And then
but he's one of the undercover dogs. He likes the heat,
yeah,
not the cold. Okay.
He cuddles me and he puts his body against mine and he goes like this. Like I feel him just like breathing. I've never had a connection with a dog like this.
That's the thing. I mean, that's why I think that 40% number is low, because if you have like a real bond with your dog,
Oh, and I have a thing to say for the dog owners. So my dog got his teeth cleaned, and they need anesthesia for
one
that.
of those deep cleans where they put them out.
Yeah. And they need the blood tests and the pee test, right? And just randomly, I happened to ask, how do you do the pee test? Because you cannot force a dog to piss, right? They stab him with a needle. They stab him with a needle in the bladder and then remove the pee. I know.
Why don't you just take him for a walk with the cup? And
That's what I thought, right? So I just said, oh, no, I don't feel comfortable with that. And the lady was like, we do that to all dogs. They barely feel it. And I know my dog is squirmish. So I just said, give me a glove, give me a cup, and I'll go and pick up his piss. And that's what I did.
Yeah, that's way
But I
easier.
I didn't know.
Especially with a male dog, you just put it, like when they raise their leg, just put it in the stream for a little bit. Because they only need like, half an ounce. They don't need like, fucking 12 ounces of it. To stick a needle in that's fucking wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's bizarre. If you can't get piss from your dog, you got a problem.
I agree.
And then picking up the shit, that's the easiest thing to do. Mm-hmm. I've had trouble pissing, like, when like a human being does a urine test. Like if I know it's coming, I'll drink a lot of water. But if I don't know, like, we're going to take some of your urine, I get like pee shy. I was like, I can't just piss on command. I don't know why.
I pee all the time.
Yeah, so do I. But like when it's on command, I don't know. I have a thing about people making me do things when I wasn't planning on doing it. Like if I agree to do it, I'll do it. But if it's like, hey, we need this from you now, it's like, fuck you. I'm not doing that now. Like, it's like a weird authoritarian thing. Like, I don't like people giving me fucking orders. That's a psychological problem.
Maybe.
I should have told my GP, like, enough with the urine test. Send me to a therapist. I got a fucking...
I agree.
I got a mental problem here.
Tell me.
All right, this one's interesting, and I want to get your take. See if you can smell this. So it says, apparently women can smell if a man is single, according to recent studies. They say women might literally be able to sniff out your relationship status. A recent study found that women rated single men's body odor as stronger than that of partnered men, and also were able to judge a single man by his face. They don't quite know how this is happening, but they believe it has to do with health hormones and pheromones. Can you smell if a guy's fucking single or not?
No.
Can you tell by his face?
No, of course not. How would you do that?
Really? How many times has a guy said he was single to you and he wasn't?
To me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't... Like, I had guys lying to me about their age. But, like, I've never had a guy...
That's weird. Because women are known for lying about their age or being uncomfortable telling you their age. But why would a guy lie about his age? I feel like women don't care. Because
he's too young or too old.
But I feel like in general, women don't think of age as a determining factor whether or not they'll date a guy. I feel like there's 10 other categories that women care about before age when it comes to dating a guy. So lying to a woman about your age is only lying to her, which then makes you a liar, which every woman I know hates.
Yeah.
You know, women hate liars more than they hate old men or guys that they think are too young. Like if a guy thinks, if you think a guy's too old or think he's too young, that's not as important as if you think he's a fucking liar.
I agree. 100%. Yeah.
Was it older guys trying to lie down or younger guys trying to lie up?
Both.
But what was more common?
I only had one guy lying about his age. I was really young, and then I had a couple guys maybe that were older.
If you knew their real age at the beginning, would it have mattered?
The young one, yes.
How young was this guy?
He was like 21.
I was going to say 15.
And he said he's 25.
Yeah, 21 is
too young.
But if he said 21, he also might be lying about that because he might have been 19. You know, like it's too specific of an age. You know, like he couldn't go if he was 20, he couldn't be at the bar with you. It means he was showing a fake ID. So it's like if a girl tells a guy, "Oh, I'm 18." It's like odds are she's definitely not 18 because that's way too on the nose for it not to be a crime. You know, like it seems like a setup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So you don't care if a guy's single or not? If you're
No, of course I care. I'm not gonna date somebody who's in a relationship, but like I can tell when. I mean, I don't care about him lying. Like if I don't like somebody, I don't like somebody. It's hard for me to like guys. I would like somebody every 3 years.
Yeah, that is a theme on this podcast over the last few years I've had you on.
Yeah, I just don't like anybody. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm dating a guy and I hate him.
No, it's not really.
It's usually your go-to.
I'm not really dating a guy and hate him. I think what it is like, how can I say this? I just feel like people are not always genuine.
Yeah.
And I hate that experience of like, I feel like, well, that doesn't really happen much now because I don't really date, but I try to be really cool and open, and I feel like LA especially, people just take advantage of that.
Yeah, maybe hate was too strong, but I feel like you've dated guys that we've talked about on here, and there was like, yeah, I'm seeing them, but you feel like there's no there. Like something's missing. You know, not that you hate that guy. It's just like, yeah, it's cool, but it's not. It doesn't feel like there's going to be, you know, long-term substance there.
I think you're confusing me with somebody. I've never done that.
All right, here's the last one.
Tell me.
What's the last one I want to do? Oh yeah. Oh, this is actually interesting because we were just talking about this. I didn't even know I had this one. So, circular relationships, quote unquote, are on the rise. Why reconnecting with an ex isn't always a bad idea. Have you ever, so we were just talking about not reconnecting with an ex or not getting back with someone you dated. Have you ever gotten back with someone you've dated before?
Only once in my life.
Yeah, me too. And then never again.
Yeah, and I was like,
Well, I feel like I kind of kicked myself in the ass. I'm like, I should have, like, I knew what it was like. Why did I do it again?
Yeah.
If the first time, it was like, maybe we changed. I'm like, yeah, even if we change a little bit, like our values didn't change. You know, she was still a fucking uptight psycho about X, Y, or Z. And I was still, you know, didn't care about, you know, A, B, and C. So, you know, yeah, we've matured, but I'm still the same person. I just, you know, now I like, you know, better hotels. Now I'm used to, you know, having an income.
Do you know what it is? I've changed seeing things. I see things in a way like this. Like for me, good sex is not enough anymore. Like I think, how is this person going to make my life better?
Yeah.
Do you know? And when I say this, I don't mean just in a financial way, because when I have money, I don't care. But I mean also like if I'm having a hard time, is this person going to be a good listener? Are they going to be supportive? Are they going to be kind? Is this somebody who's actually my friend and care about me? Or is this somebody that just wants to hold me, you know, under their arm and just be like, look at my girlfriend, you know? Like
Yeah.
It's
called maturity, and we all, and it seems like we're both going through it. In that, it's not what you can get out of the person, but it's whether or not you enjoy spending time with them when you're not having sex or they're not paying your bills. Like when you're just hanging out, would you hang out with them if you weren't having sex? If the answer is yes, then I feel like there's, for me anyway, there's legs there. Like, oh, I like talking to the person. They're fun to have around. You know, we like doing similar activity. Like you know, they're additive to my life. It's not like, oh, I just see them because I want to get laid, or you know, or she's only seeing me because I'm paying, you know, for X, Y, or Z for her. Like, I actually enjoy them as a person. And the bonus is we get to have sex, you know, like, it's not all focused around like, all right, you know.
But it's hard. It's hard to find somebody who's interesting, fun, you have good sexual chemistry, you have like good conversation, and they actually are a good person. And I just thought that was all very basic things, but apparently it's hard.
Well, think about how hard it is to find a good friend. I mean, I'm sure you have close personal friends, but I'm sure you don't have 25. You know, everyone has 2 or 3 like really close personal friends that they're almost like family.
Yeah.
Right. That's how hard. You know, I'm about to be 43. That's how hard it is to find a good friend. To find a good partner is finding a good friend, and you enjoy having sex with. So it's even, you know, another step harder than that. You know. So at least for me anyway, but that's definitely a big part of it, you know.
Yeah.
There are people who are still married who hate their spouse, and they've wasted already 20 years.
I know, like my landlord, she has a nice house, and she was like, "Be careful what you end up, honey. I'm telling you." Like, and she's like saying that she had a terrible marriage and all this stuff, and I'm like, "Why did you marry this guy?" And she said, "Because he was a good father to my daughter." I don't want that.
Yeah, but also more importantly, once you realize it's not going to last. Every day beyond that is a day that you could be building the next chapter of your life with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that opportunity cost. And, you know, and I think, honestly, the big part, especially for you, is I'm sure you put it out there up front with them. Like, yeah, this is what I'm focused on. This is what I care about. I don't care about this. Like you were asking me, you know, since I got out from my only marriage, I don't want to get married. I don't want kids. Tell them right up front.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you hey, I want to, you know, this is fun. I want to keep seeing you. But know that you are second to comedy.
Yeah.
I tell women I date that. I tell women I date now that I'm married to comedy. You're my mistress. Like,
yeah.
So between you and comedy, you're gonna fucking lose. You know, I tell them right up front, like, okay, you know, so they know the sort of the ground rules. You know, but you know, when I was younger, you never say that. You're just too busy trying to like, you know, get in it. You know, like, oh yeah, whatever you want, babe. Let's have sex. Like,
yeah.
Whatever it'll take for you to shut the fuck up. So we can hook up now. But you know, as you get older, it's like if I lay it out up front, it's like, oh, I get to avoid a bunch of fucking problems in the back end. You know? Yeah. I'm sure it's the same for you. Yeah, I'm sure you, like, I don't know how many guys you say, oh, I'll take care of this for you, take care of that for you. I don't want that. You know, like, it makes you resent that kind of guy if he's paying your bills.
No, I mean, yeah. I think I just don't like feeling like a product.
That's what I'm saying.
You know?
Yeah, you want a good relationship, you want to feel like you both want each other, you don't need each other. And you want to feel like they're spending time with you because they don't feel obligated, but because they enjoy it.
Yeah.
And because you enjoy it. You know, doing stuff out of obligation builds resentment, and resentment is the fucking end of any relationship, in my opinion. At least in my experience. If I have any resentment towards someone I'm dating, it's hard to get that out of my head, and that just snowballs down.
Yeah.
You know, I used to have an argument. I remember arguing with my ex-wife about this shit. Because Thanksgiving just passed, you know, and back when I was seeing her, I was like, oh, she's like, let's go to my parents for Thanksgiving. I'm like, I don't want to, I got to work, blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, come on. I'm like, okay. She's like, well, I don't want you to go like that. I want you to want to go. And I'm like, babe, if I'm doing something I don't want to do because I love you, that should count as more points than me wanting to go. Like, you know, like I'm doing it because I love you. Like that should be an even bigger sign that I care about you than you want me to want to. It's like, what is that? You know? I want you to want this. It's like, well, that's never going to happen. Like, so the next best thing is I'm doing it because I love you. That's not enough for you, then you got a fucking problem. And I should have known that. But, you know, it took me another couple years after that before I broke it apart. So you think it'll last here? Sorry, 3 weeks in?
I don't have no fucking idea.
All right, I'll have you back at the end of Q1, and we'll see if it's gone anywhere.
Maybe I'm already on my third guy.
Well, you might have your Hollywood role. You might be a fucking star in this new movie you auditioned for. It's supposed to be a big hit, and then you'll never come back and do the podcast.
I'll always come back.
Then you'll ask me to take the podcast that you have done off of the internet because you said some shit you regret.
With you, I already expect that.
No, well, those are the only podcasts I've ever removed were people who were going up for something like, hey, I don't want to see that. Like they had like a real job offer, or a couple people were doing SNL and they're like, oh, can you pull that down until after I find out if I got it or not? I'm like, all right, fine. But that's how I know they were good episodes. They're like, I don't know, I don't remember what I said, but I'm sure it was not right. So can you just pull that down or delist it until I find out what, if I got the part or not? I'm like, all right, I got you. Yeah. But I expect you to come back. I feel like we've built a close enough friendship.
Of course.
No matter how famous you are, you'll come do
I'll always come back.
Up to second floor studios with Mikey.
I'll always come back.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
That's my joy. I want to see if I make it huge, who I get to cut off.
Are you going to cut me off?
No, never. No.
Okay,
but there are definitely people in my head that like, oh, if I make it big, and I get the chance, I'll stick it to them. And it's nobody, nobody that's been on this podcast, because I wouldn't have you on this podcast if I had that.
Yeah.
Too. But there are definitely people who've given me the hi-hat. I'm like, oh, that's how you are now. Like, all right, motherfucker.
A lot of people are like that.
Yeah. Well, that's what they say. Money doesn't change you. It reveals who you really are. Mm-hmm. So I said, my biggest show is I want to get so rich I can overpay my friends. Like have one of my buddies be my chauffeur and pay him $300,000 a year just because I'm making so much.
I would go on a hike and I would manifest being in one of those amazing houses at Runyon that you see. And I was like, yeah, but what does it matter if I have that big house just for myself? I would bring my best friend from Portugal and be like, you live here with me if you would like, and I'll pay you a salary. And the only thing you have to do is just hang out with me and be part of my family.
I think Whitney Cummings lives with like a gay best friend in a giant mansion in the Palisades. Well, I don't know if it was in the Palisades or Malibu, whatever. But yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to have extra bedrooms to stuff my friends in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you live in the east wing of the house. You have your own entrance, your own garage.
Of course.
You live in my pool house.
Why not?
Have a compound. Yeah. That's the fun part, getting wealthy enough that you can just grossly fuck
Okay, let's be done with this so I can tell you all these stories in private.
All right, let's wrap it up. Where are you going to be? This is coming out in 2 days. So where
okay,
are you gonna be
so
the next couple of weeks, and where can they find you?
I'm going to do my hour again at the store January 21st, 8 p.m. And then I'm coming to Austin in February at the Vulcan Gas Company.
That's a great.
And that's it so far. Yeah, and you can find me at Instagram, official Nacya Marreiro.
And I spell it right.
You did.
I always do. I check. And you could also send me a photo that you want for this thumbnail because you're very particular about that.
Yeah, you always choose ugly ones.
You have none of my guests have any idea how much time I spend trying to make you look good on the thumbnail. You
Photoshop it?
No. Oh, I go through the whole fucking tape and try to find a photo where you're smiling, but not too hard where it's you look goofy because some people.
Okay, here.
No, well, we can just take a picture after this and I'll use that one. All right, guys, follow her. And she has a website, right? Nacya Marreiro.
No, I just deleted it. It was so expensive.
Okay, official Nacya Marreiro on Instagram, January 21st at the Comedy Store, and then in February she'll be in Austin. I will be at Mic Drop Plano, headlining with my man Xander Beltran, January 25th. And then I'll be home for Christmas from the 22nd to the 27th. I'm sure I'll be doing some local shows in New York. So check me out there. Obviously, you can follow the podcast at Ready, Set, Blow. Follow me at Randy Valerio. That's it for this week. You guys. Oslo, say goodbye.
Bye, Oslo.
All right, guys. Peace.
Hey.